Hi, and welcome to Jamie deRoy and Friends. Well, there's so much going on in New York right now, it's hard to keep up. But we're going to try, and to start us off, one of the newest entries into the Broadway scene of new musicals is Disaster, written by Seth Rudetsky and Jack Plotkin. And it's directed by Jack Plotkin. The music is all hits from the 70s. I saw this when it was off Broadway, and it was a total hoot. I know you're going to absolutely love it. It's playing at the Nederlander Theater on West 41st Street. And what a cast! Adam Pascal, Seth Rudetsky, Carrie Bouthiller, Kevin Chamberlain, Rachel York, Jennifer Simard, and Tony winners Roger Bart and Faith Prince. Disaster is set on a summer night in Manhattan in 1979 and follows a group of A-list New Yorkers who party at the grand opening of a floating casino until disaster strikes. Here's a look. S-A-T-U-R-D-A-Y, nice. S-A-T-U-R-D-A-Y, nice. Dancing to the music in our heart and soul on Saturday night. Hey! Saturday night. It's like thunder, lightning. The way you love me is frightening. You better knock, knock, knock on wood, baby. Ooh, 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 ooh. Was a hot sun baby this evening. That means some hot sun baby tonight. I want some hot sun baby this evening. Gotta have some hot sun, gotta have some hot sun. The Olivier Award-winning play Blackbird is now on Broadway. It's directed by two-time Tony Award winner Joe Mantello. And it stars Emmy Award winner Jeff Daniels, who starred in the original production that I saw years ago off Broadway. And this time, Golden Globe Award winner Michelle Williams. Blackbird is written by David Harrower and is playing at the Belasco Theater through June 12th. Here's a look.
I don't know why he invited me, your father. I said hello to him on the street when I saw him. I helped him with his car once, but I was surprised when he asked me. I wasn't gonna come. I didn't know anybody there or neighbors, but, you know, my windows were open. I could smell the barbecue 5 doors away, the smoke. It wasn't because of you. I'd seen you on the street, around, but not...
You were looking at me at the barbecue.
No!
I saw you.
I wasn't.
I felt you.
No, I looked at you. I wasn't looking.
And now playing on Broadway at the John Golden Theater after its successful run at the Public Theater is Eclipsed. It's written by Denai Guerrera, and it is an amazing cast. It's all the original cast from the Public and headed by Oscar Award winner Lupita Nyong'o. Eclipsed is directed by Liesl Tommy. And now over at Lincoln Center at the Mitzi Newhouse through May 1st is The Royale. It's written by Marco Ramirez and directed by Rachel Shavkin. It stars Chris Davis, Montego Glover, McKinley Belcher III, John Lavelle, and Clark Peters. It's loosely based on the real-life experiences of Jack Johnson, the first African-American heavyweight world champion. You can catch The Royale at the Mitzi Newhouse Theater at Lincoln Center only through May 1st. Here's a look. On March 7th, the Transport Group celebrated another Give Me a Break. They've been doing it for 15 years. Well, it was an incredible evening hosted again by Julie Halston. Some of the people like Max von Essen and Brad Oscar were there for multiple times. Well, at the event, they showed a video that really encompassed the last 15 years. I wanted to congratulate Jack Cummings and Lori Feynman on this amazing event and this amazing journey that they've taken with the Transport Group. Here is a look at that video.
This season marks our 15th anniversary as a company and our 25th production. With milestones, I think naturally comes reflection. I've been thinking a lot lately about how the company started and the very first production we did, which was Thornton Wilder's Our Town.
I played Simon Stimson in Our Town, and there was something about that moment, being in a play that's that associated with America and the American experience at that time, that was really profound.
As I think back on it more and more, it seems the perfect play for us to have launched this company.
The structure of Our Town is very unusual. Everyone forgets that it's so odd, but it's very, very unusual. And I feel like a lot of the plays that Transport Group is still doing present that kind of unexpected newness.
Thornton Wilder, at the time that he wrote it, I think was taking enormous risks. We also took risks with our first production. We cast a 12-year-old girl as the stage manager and 2 actors in their 60s playing George and Emily.
It felt like you were part of something that had never been done before, which is very rare to feel that way in a play that was so old and so established and so well known.
That production and that way of thinking as a company, I think, has stayed with us and kind of always shown us the way you would think of a lighthouse.
I just felt like when I was in Our Town, I sat on stage in the midst of that production, knowing that a new company had been created that was going to be doing things very, very differently.
Now, there are many American myths, and when I think of Transport Group, especially, I think of the myth of the American cowboy, the myth of American confidence and American bravado. If you look at this myth as a type of circle, I think what Transport Group is doing is we're examining the people who are on the outer edges of that circle and the people that are on the underbelly of that circle. The people who might not always come out on top. These are the people that excite us, that challenge us. These people that are on the outskirts of the American myth of success. Three Days to See basically is an excavation of Helen Keller.
A reawakening of Helen Keller's mind in 7 different bodies.
It is a story of setting the record straight.
Through Wikipedia, I discovered that Helen Keller had actually written many books and articles and essays through the course of her life, and that she lived a very long life into her late 80s. And I thought, oh my God, the only thing I know about Helen Keller is the miracle worker.
And then a whole lot of questions started to arise. You know, what happens after that? And what was her life like?
I had no idea the kind of stateswoman she was, the kind of thinker she was, the kind of intelligence she had.
And this was an opportunity to really get to know Helen as an adult and as someone who was passionate about nature, about politics, about women's rights, about civil rights.
I thought it would be interesting to create a portrait of this woman and the inner workings of her mind only using her words.
Her ideas were bigger than any gender, age.
The diversity of that company, ethnically and also kind of ages, was really impactful because her words, I mean, to me, made them kind of everyman, or every woman or every child.
The opening of the show consisted of the 7 actors coming out in a very fluid, fast-paced, choreographed sequence devised by Scott Rank, and the actors told rapid fire as many Helen Keller jokes as possible.
Oh, the jokes, the jokes.
My goal for that was to address the elephant in the room.
We know that this is out there, and we know that this is the perspective or a perspective that exists. So let's just start there.
Everybody was laughing, and then only a few people were laughing, and then only one person was laughing.
And heard everything from guffaws to, holy shit, I can't believe he went there.
That is her being buried under the rubble of the jokes. And then out of that, as rays of light would kind of fall into the rubble, her own writing would then emerge very subtly out of the jokes.
The breakfast scene was the showstopper.
Where Helen Keller is being taught how to eat.
The most famous probably scene in The Miracle Worker, second maybe only to the water moment. Jack did this incredible thing where he just stole moment for moment and movement for movement this incredible sequence.
I played Annie, and the rest of the cast members would rotate in different parts of the fight.
Every time Annie turned around, there was a different, sometimes most often more powerful Helen battling her. We set it all to a soundtrack of Benny Goodman's version of Sing, Sing, Sing.
That piece of music is enormously percussive, and so it aptly paralleled the physical percussion within the breakfast scene.
She was so cerebral and intellectual, juxtaposing that with that very kind of animalistic, sort of primal behavior, put her and then her writings in a context that I don't know would have been possible otherwise. Then you listened in a different way after you saw that scene. That's for sure.
I think the overall response was that she was brilliant, and that was important to be shared, and people were really grateful to have that shared with them.
People were also very moved, not only by the story, but by the telling of the story.
She felt like by the end someone I knew.
Helen really hooked into something that is universal and eternal in a way.
She helped paint a world for me that had more of the right priorities that we aspire to.
Once Upon a Mattress is a takeoff on the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale.
The adult version of The Princess and the Pea.
Controlling Mother Queen and her dopey son are on the lookout for a new princess, but really only the prince is on the lookout.
And along comes a wacky, independent maverick who wins his heart and the hearts of everyone in the kingdom.
For Transport Group, Once Upon a Mattress was by far our most ambitious production yet.
One of the successes of the show is how, turning the traditional casting on its head.
John called me a couple of years ago and said, "Have you ever thought about playing Princess Winifred?"
I felt that Jackie could breathe new life into the show.
There was always this sense that anything could happen when she was on stage.
I was stunned that the scenery didn't have holes in it. It was delicious.
She also made Winifred very, very lovable.
She was allowed to be vulnerable and open.
You were laughing at her, with her, around her, and yet all the while your heart just wants her to find her prince.
They ate it up. They loved it.
John brought something totally different to the table.
It's good for business because the whole transgender thing is white hot.
He's so precise. His comic timing is so precise. The arch of an eyebrow, the curl of a lip.
There's something accompanying every word and every line and every movement.
The fun that I was trying to have with the character was in the text.
He was playing with all of these vowels and all these things that were so hilarious, his accent, his affectation. That was his own invention, and I think that was like such a smart choice, and he knew it.
Dance, Spanish, panic. I want quiet around here. Is that clear?
Jackie and John are just a little left of center, a little on the outside. The show is about an outsider, and having the two of them as central components of the story completely made sense. I grew up like many kids watching Saturday morning cartoons, and I remember the Rocky Bullwinkle show, and there was a sequence on that show called Fractured Fairy Tales, and I felt like that was going to be our way into the show.
At our first design meeting for Once Upon a Mattress, Jack showed us in the concert video the little paper drawing slideshow that they used for the prologue, and that was the start of the idea of having projections of live drawing.
We asked illustrator and caricaturist Ken Fallon if he would draw those backgrounds, not only draw them, but the fun would be seeing him draw them live every night.
When Jack first told me the idea, I thought, this is insane.
As the scenes would change, you know, a new piece would come on top, a new illustration would come onto the back wall, and you would see his hand literally drawing each set piece or adding some color to an area.
It just brought the show to life in a very fairy tale pop-up book kind of way.
We were always looking forward to a scene change, ironically, to see what he was going to come up with next. It was important for us to do the show big. Big cast, big orchestra.
Brand new arrangements, brand new orchestrations.
We were told we could have 12 musicians, it's a huge number for a Broadway musical, but to do it off Broadway, we just didn't even know what to do with ourselves. We were so excited.
12 pieces? I mean, and it sounded like 40.
What makes the score to Once Upon a Mattress interesting is the juxtaposition between the sort of 50s big band swing with a more traditional musical theater sound, and that third element, the sort of Renaissance vibe.
Medieval sorority house. I mean, the harp and the recorder, it was kind of genius.
It was just thrilling. It felt MGM.
And I still have those orchestrations ringing in my ear when I'm humming a tune now. I can still hear them. They were wonderful.
The response it would get every night, it blew me away.
Everybody on the stage was having such a good time.
That's the thing about this show. It's pure joy.
It's a bunch of silliness. I like the thought of reminding people of what musical theater used to be before it became founding fathers rapping.
We brought it to them in a way that they certainly had never seen before.
And it was a grand success.
And now for our cabaret roundup. So we'll start this week with Feinstein's 54 Below. On March 25th and 27th, the Skivvies will be performing. They perform in their underwear. Their many guests include Michael Urie, Tony Award winners Lena Hall and Daisy Egan, Molly Pope, Nick Adams, and many more. And Broadway star Melissa Errico, who can also be seen on the new show Billions, will be performing on April 1st and 2nd at Feinstein's 54 Below. Her new show is Funny, I'm a Woman with Children. And if you don't know what that's from, then you are not a Broadway baby. Do you remember Greg Hildreth from the shows Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson, Cinderella, Peter and the Starcatcher? No? Well, then you must come to Feinstein's 54 Below to catch him and see why he is always working. His featured guests include two-time Tony Award winner Christian Borle, Santino Fontana, Celia Keenan-Bolger, and his current co-star from The Robber Bridegroom, Stephen Pasquale. From April 5th through the 9th, Paulo Schott returns to the club. He is the Tony Award winner from South Pacific, and what a heartthrob he is. He's been traveling the world doing opera. We are very glad to have him back in New York for even this short amount of time. And on March 21st, Natalie Douglas goes to Birdland. She has won the Bistro Award, the Nightlife Award, and the MAC Award 7 times. Natalie Douglas will be celebrating the release of her latest CD, Human Heart. On April 17th, we will be holding a fundraiser for the Actors Fund. Jamie deRoy and friends will present David Friedman, Corey Kahaney, Nikenji, Howard McGillen, and Brad Usker. From March 22nd through April 2nd, singer-songwriter Stephen Page brings his new show, Heal Thyself, Past, Present, Future. On one night only, March 30th at the Kaplan Penthouse, Lincoln Center's American Songbook presents The Story Goes On. Liz Callaway sings Maltby and Shire. In 1984, when Liz appeared in Baby, she was nominated for a Tony Award. No wonder she loves these guys. And one of the youngest new crooners on the scene is Cole Rumbaugh. He'll be playing at the Metropolitan Room on March 23rd and April 18th. Another show at the Metropolitan Room is multi-award winner Baby Jane Dexter's hit show, It's Personal. It will be there on Saturday, March 26th in the afternoon. At the Iridium on March 22nd, singer-songwriter Rhonda Ross will bring her new show to the club. On Tuesday, March 29th at BB King, the 30th Annual MAC Awards. Well, there are 3 special awards being given that night, and I am delighted to be one of them. I get the Ruth Kurtzman Benefit Award, presented to Jamie deRoy and Friends Cabaret Initiative for the Actors Fund. We've been doing these shows to raise money for this organization, and we continue to do so. Also getting an award that night will be Mary Ann Lapinto, who's getting the Board of Directors Award. And receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award is singer-songwriter Amanda McBroom. Here is Amanda singing The Rose that just happened to be shot by Mary Ann Lapinto.
Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a razor that leaves your soul bleeding. Some say love, it is hunger and endless aching deed. I say love, it is a flower, and you, it's only seed. It's the heart that feels the breaking, that never learns to dance. It's the dream of waking, that never takes chance. It's the one who won't take it, who cannot seek to give, and the soul afraid of dying, that never learns to stay. When the night has been lonely, the road has been long, and I think that love is only for the lucky and strong. Just remember in the winter, far lies seed that with sun's love in the sea becomes the
On Friday, April 1st at Symphony Space is That Guitar Man, 25 years. David Ippolito has been performing in Central Park for the last 25 years, entertaining audiences with his stories and his songs. He is an absolute joy. On Monday, March 28th, Broadway's Future Songbook Series presents The Lyrics of Jill Abramowitz. It's a free event because it's part of the New York City Library. It's presented at Bruno Walter. You're going to want to catch this. Jill has many wonderful special guests, including Lisa Howard and Jessica Vosk. Now at the Laura Pels Theater is The Robber Bridegroom. I first saw this show when it was presented by the Actors Company, starring Kevin Kline and Patti LuPone. Well, it is back on the boards and we couldn't be more delighted. It's directed by Alex Timbers, with the book and lyrics by Pulitzer Prize winner and Academy Award and Tony Award winner Alfred Urey. The music is by Robert Waldman. It's based on the short story by Eudora Welty. The Robber Bridegroom stars Stephen Pasquale and Leslie Kritzer. Here's a look.
What's when Jamie Lockhart, the thieving ain't the same. It's a finagling, angling game. So I guess it's just my fate to always be first rate, to outfox all them others by a mile. I'll hit that rich man's car and ladle out the time. And I promise you, oh yes I promise